And Caroline Malone joins us from Washington, D.C. for more. Caroline, why are some U.S. lawmakers planning to boycott Netanyahu's address?
Well, there is a bit of a division within Congress over this visit. Netanyahu was invited by Mike Johnson. He is the House Speaker. He's a Republican, and he very much represents the classic Republican view, which is very much in support of the US continuing to help Israel in its campaign against Hamas. But it is divided within Congress, particularly in the House, and it's not exactly the view that a lot of Democrats hold. They are increasingly concerned about the humanitarian, the death toll on Palestinians in Gaza, and very much would rather see a peace deal, a ceasefire at this point. And that's made it very difficult for President Biden, also a Democrat, because that's something that he's increasingly been talking about publicly. In the beginning, after the October 7th attack, Biden was all in support for Israel. But I think in the recent months, we've seen a little bit of a change in his tone, a little bit more caution, especially when it comes to Israel's continued attacks in Gaza and the impact on people there. Really trying to push Netanyahu, really trying to push the Israeli government to get to some kind of peace deal with Hamas. And that's become increasingly challenging. So I think we're going to see that not just in Congress, but we're also going to see it outside, because we understand there are planned protests that will be happening outside the Capitol as Netanyahu is making his address around the early afternoon here on Wednesday. And those are groups that, again, are against Israel's action. They are particularly concerned about the impact on Palestinians. They want to see a peace deal, but crucially, they want to see the number of Palestinians who are dying to stop at this point, and the US to do what it can to support the end of the violence.
Indeed. Also, Caroline, what can you tell us about Netanyahu's proposed meetings with both Biden and Trump?
Yeah, so Netanyahu's fitting in a lot in his trip here. He's going to be having meetings over Wednesday and Thursday, and we are expecting that he will be meeting with President Biden in the White House on Thursday. He's also planning to meet Trump. He is planning to travel across the US to go and meet Trump, who, of course, is the likely, or now officially, the Republican nominee for president for their party. And then also to meet with Kamala Harris. Now, normally Kamala Harris, as the vice president right now, would be the one to preside over this joint session in Congress. She's not doing that. She has other plans. She has a different event scheduled. Some are reading into that she doesn't want to be present in the room when Netanyahu is speaking because of her views on the current situation with Israel and Hamas. But certainly she will be meeting with Netanyahu behind closed doors, which is in a meeting that's incredibly important because, as we know, Kamala Harris is also the highly likely Democratic candidate to be president this year as well. And so her views and her relationship with Netanyahu are just as important, really, as Trump's. And also overall, though, really for Biden and Netanyahu to have this closed-door meeting at this time. We know Biden's stepping down, and so he's got, about 6 months left of his presidency. There is still potential for the US to use what it can, its leverage, to force Israel, to force Netanyahu to come to a peace deal before Biden actually ends his term in the White House.
Caroline, thank you. Appreciate it. Caroline Malone there reporting from Washington, D.C. Now, an Israeli negotiation team is due in